Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Benjamin and I am your host here at the Benjamin Krudwig Fiber Arts and Textile Arts and Fashion Design channel, whatever you want to call it. Today marks June 2nd. This is not when this video is going to go out. This video is probably going to come out a little bit later in June. But it is time to work on my Pride jacket right here. So before I get into that, I just want to say a few things. Thank you for sticking around with me. I know May didn't have as many videos as I would have liked. I've been working on a secret project that I can't share with anybody right now until it's published, if it gets published. So it's one of those things where all of my time, my free time when I'm not working, has gone to that. So I haven't been really filming anything. However, now it's June. I wanted to get this done for June, or at least within June. So that's what we're going to be doing. This is going to be a labor of love. I technically started this project last year, almost exactly a year ago. I was going to do this as like a reclamation of an old suit that I had to patch some holes that have gone in, thanks to some moths. Clothing moths suck. Just saying. They suck because they get everywhere. They're hard to find, hard to get rid of. Anyways, I have put that part of the project aside because the suit, I'm not going to wear it all that often. So I don't want to put a whole bunch of labor into something that I'm not going to really get to see. And second, I love this jacket, and it also needs some repairs. I got this secondhand at a place called It's a Wrap in Los Angeles, and they take clothing that has been donated from film sets and TV sets. Found this for a family photo shoot that I really love the color. I like that it's a denim jacket, but it was pinned in the back and on the sleeves with these giant safety pins that actually ended up damaging it pretty heavily. There's a couple of large holes in here. So I want to repair those, and I want to just make this look nicer. I already love it. Like it's something that I love wearing anyway. So that's what we're working on. I've already added one patch. This is my Roll with Pride patch that I got from Cantrip Candles a couple of years ago, and I've just had it lying around for a while, so I've already put that on there, and we're going to extend some of these lines later, not yet. The other thing, the goals here are to just fill this up with embroidery and applique. So that is the scope of the project. Before we get into the bulk of the project, this video is brought to you by me. I am the sponsor of this video. Just to let you know, if you want to support me, you can go over to my website, benjamincollin.com, and pick up some of my hand-woven textiles. I have a few things left in the store. Sorry, microphone, I didn't mean to. I have a few things left in the store. This lovely Pride herringbone towel. It's kind of like larger than a hand towel, smaller than a beach towel, but it's something that you can just use to, like, you know, if you're at the gym, you can wipe up stuff. Or I use it as a hair wrap. And then I have, of course, two of these, which are the Moonweaver shawls. And then I also have a Moonweaver scarf. So I also have a cat. If you would like to take him too, that would be great. Just kidding. I love him. You can't have him. So yeah, those are still available in my shop if you want to go over and get those. But if you also want to support me in other ways, you can head over to my Patreon. There will be a link down in the description below. If you want to support me at any level, you'll get behind the scenes content. And I'm actually working on a post right now about an upcoming project that Patreons will get all of the like early access stuff first before anyone here sees it. All right, with all of that out, let's get started on the project. So, like I was saying, I already started this project about a year ago. And this is something that when my Glowforge was still working, it broke. Uh, that's a story for a different time. I created a whole bunch of appliques. So what I did, ooh, do I have those links? I don't think I do. So I cut out these butterflies that are just the outlines here. And then what I did is I used fabric glue to stick them onto some silk that I had. Now this is all reclaimed silk. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I really enjoy upcycling and giving things new life. So I had all of this silk in my stash from Darn Good Yarn. I've done a few collaborations with them in the past with their reclaimed silk. I figured what a great way to reuse it, bring some color into my life. So I made a whole bunch of different butterflies using this method. So I have some monarchs using some orange silk. I have various other varieties of butterflies, and I just used different silks to make them look really interesting. So I have a bunch of different sizes, a bunch of different colors, essentially, like so. And I'm going to be pinning that onto the jacket. What I want to do with the jacket is I want to first get a layout of the butterflies on the back and the front and the sleeves in order to just kind of get an idea of where I want to place everything. I have way more butterflies than I really need for this project. But I'm thinking that I want to do something similar to a scientific illustration. I think there's a really beautiful art to that. So on the back, I want to create a really symmetrical design that looks a little bit like if you had found one, a scientific illustration with butterflies, different fauna, different flora, and just really bring it together. For those of you that don't know, my background before I got into the textile arts was in ecological and evolutionary biology. I also got a secondary degree in studio arts in photography. And my love for science and art has always informed my art making decisions. So for this project, I really wanted to dig into that, mixing those two loves, well, really three loves: art, textiles, and science. So I've brought out a few of my scientific guides. I have my butterflies and moths resource book. It gives you an idea of different butterflies and where they live, where you can find them. This one is insects and spiders. And you know I'm going to be putting some insects and spiders on here as well. Some cool beetles. I am going to put a spider on there probably. Some moths that are not real. And then I have Culpeper's Color Herbal. I don't remember where I got this or how I got this, but there are some really lovely illustrations in here. So like here's the F's, fenugreek to fern. I'm going to be using some of these as guides. I was going to try and pick flowers that had some sort of hidden meaning, especially like within the queer or LGBTQIA plus realm. However, I couldn't find enough examples of that where I thought it would warrant putting those in here. I might do a little bit more research and see if there are more specific symbolism with flowers and, you know, queer identity, but I don't know. I think I might also just choose flowers that I think are really pretty. So I think the first steps are going to be laying out the butterflies, and then after that, finding the spaces where I can put plants. And at first I wanted this to be really chaotic and not symmetrical. But now, after thinking about it for a while, I think it's more effective if it is symmetrical. All right, so let's change the camera angle and we're going to lay out the back of the jacket, and then I'll move on to the front, and then we'll do the sleeves later. I think the sleeves might be less butterfly and more other flora and fauna, but we'll see. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. So the other thing that I need to keep in mind, actually, is there are pockets on here. I have side pockets, breast pockets, and then 2 internal pockets that actually kind of layer over the outside pocket. I love the inside pockets because they're huge. They fit my phone, they fit my wallet, they fit my keys. That way nothing falls out of here. I can just look cool. So let's go ahead and get working on the back with pinning stuff, and then whatever I have left over, we'll move to the front. The lapel, the collar and the lapels, I'm probably gonna do some really decorative stitching on here. I might do like some spiders along here. I think that would be really cool. Do like a spider collar. And then I'm tempted to hide something on the back. It's tough because I'm gonna want to sew through both layers for the web, but maybe I'll put like a couple of spiders on the back as well. I don't know. This is all, I'm just gonna let it flow. This project is probably gonna take all month long, just based on the amount of time that I have to work on it. And I'm okay with that. Projects take as long as projects are gonna take, and I'm not gonna feel bad about that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the next segment. Alrighty. Y'all, I just need to apologize ahead of time that if you catch a sneeze or my voice sounds weird, I am having the worst allergies I've had in a long time. And I feel like crud. Okay, so here is the back of my denim jacket. And what I have laid out here, we're just going to start kind of playing around with the placement of these butterflies. And some things to keep in mind is the center seam here. I mean, there's not actually a seam here, but the center line here. And then where the collar folds down, because we don't want to cover up any butterflies visually. I think that won't look purposeful. The other thing that I am doing as a precaution is there is a board in here that is separating the back from the front of the jacket. This is really the only way that I can get it to lay particularly flat. If I had the front open, then it gets kind of wiggly. So we're gonna go ahead and just figure out the placement of some of these butterflies. I'm really thinking about this as my main area here. And then along these side seams, I think that's where I can put, and up here along the back yoke, that's where I can put some of the other flora and fauna. So what I'm gonna do is, I already have these kind of organized by type. So I have a bunch of monarchs. I have these larger, more modeled variety. I have just a couple of these with the yellow. I have a tiny one, which maybe I'll put somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know where I want to put that one yet. I might just save it and put it on something else, maybe on like an embroidery hoop project. And then I have a bunch of these guys here, and then a whole mess of these smaller varieties. My big plan for this when I was first making it was to make sure that every color in the pride flags was represented. And I'm still missing some colors, but I'm going to bring that in with the embroidery. So this is just going to be an extremely colorful jacket. This whole thing is going to be fitted with appliques, with hand embroidery, with beading. I really want to make this a celebration of life, a celebration of color, and a celebration of identity. Now, One of my good friends actually gave me a bunch of embroidery supplies. So a lot of that is going to be used in this project, and I'm so grateful to her for bringing that to me. It's going to be really wonderful to use and know that some of my friends have contributed to this project. So, yeah, I'm going to start placing stuff on the back here, and we're going to make it super duper pretty. So I definitely think I want to start with a monarch in the center here. So I'm going to go ahead and start pinning stuff down. One thing that I can say is the way that I made these with the fabric glue and the material, it causes them to curl a little bit. So I want to make sure that they stay flat as I'm laying stuff down. So I think as we work, I also just want to talk, that is not straight, which, you know, it's a pride jacket, so it doesn't have to be. So something I do want to talk about while working on this project is fashion and identity. So this is something that is really important to me, and the ethos behind my fashion company is I want to create fashion that people feel like their most authentic selves in. And it's important to me that that means that people feel like their identity is affirmed. So whether that's your queerness, your gender, your artistry, your occupation, I want you to feel happy and seen in the work that I create. Historically, fashion has always been about identity. It's something that, yes, there's a lot of function to it, but a lot of that function also serves a purpose in telling people who you are, what level of society you belong to, what you're interested in, what your occupation is, etc. And I just think that's something that people forget, and especially in the age of fast fashion, where there's a lot of things that just seem, I don't know, bland or without any particular point of view or identity. And to me, that's really sad that we've lost that. However, I mean, not everybody has lost that, but I do think as a society, as a whole, we're so worried about fast fashion and moving on to the next trend, the next trend, the next trend, that there's really not a whole lot of uniqueness anymore. And I couldn't tell you that a lot of those fast fashion places have a really good point of view on who you are. So, slow fashion is where it's at, for me at least. For me, I'll do that. I'm trying to give these some space, so it's not absolutely like too busy. I don't mind going a little bit over these seams. They are going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to sew through. But I think it'll be really fulfilling at the end. So yeah, when it comes to my fashion and my identity, you know, I don't really have a label for my queerness. I would say bisexual or pansexual. However, I think, I don't know, I still have some figuring out of that to do. You know, it's fluid. That sort of thing is very, very fluid. And just because I feel this way now doesn't mean I'm going to feel this way in 5 minutes. That being said, it's not like just a whim. It's literally, it comes from inside. And as far as my gender identity goes, I would consider myself gender fluid, with my pronouns primarily being he, they. I don't feel comfortable using feminine pronouns like she, her, but I feel very comfortable using he, him, and they, them. Some days I dress a little bit more feminine, quote unquote. Other days I dress a little bit more masculine. And other days I just dress and a mix of the two. And I enjoy that. I don't believe that clothing in and of itself has a gender. If you want to wear a dress, wear a dress. If you want to wear pants, wear pants. If you want to wear, like, just as long as you're being culturally sensitive, wear pretty much whatever you want to wear and own that. You know, I think that as life goes on, or at least as I grow older, the less I care about conforming to some sort of standard based on what society thinks, because you go from region to region and it changes. I'm sitting down now. Yeah, I don't think that there are any standards. If you move to the South or you move to the East Coast or the West Coast, to another country, if you're not in the United States, the level of societal expectations changes so much that it's like, why bother trying to conform to anything that doesn't feel uniquely you? I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think let's do that down here. I like these. Kind of want to put this one up here. Maybe bridging that gap between the top yoke and here. I do have all these little butterflies too, and I do think maybe I should leave some of these for the front. Let's leave these two for the front, actually. The joys of figuring this layout out. Yeah. I gotta say, like, I've never really subscribed to the gender ideologue. And it's something that I think has frustrated people in the past about me, but it's something that I like what I like, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Um, you know, I think before I used to feel shame about it, but at this point in my life, I'm just going to do what I would like to do, and I don't really care about other people's opinions of what they think I should do or look like or wear. So I'm just not gonna give them the, you know, the power to dictate how I want to dress, you know, or act, or the hobbies that I choose to pick up. So let's put, yeah, a little guy right here. I think it's so important these days to, for those of us who have privilege, and I have cis male white privilege. I come from a family that was considered middle class. I would consider myself lower middle class at this point, living on my own and with my income and such. But that doesn't stop the fact that I grew up comfortably with cis male privilege and white privilege. And yes, there's intersections between my gender identity and my sexual identity, but I know that my privilege allows me to walk in spaces and talk in spaces that other people don't have. And I think it's super important, if not vital, / it's my duty to make spaces comfortable for other people who don't have that privilege. And that means stepping up in locations where other people might not be safe to step up. And I think that that is a calling and a job of mine. So I'm going to do it. Even though right now the climate surrounding the LGBTQIA plus community, especially among the trans individuals, it's extremely dangerous, especially here in America. With legislation being put out all across the United States that directly influence places that I am and am not allowed to go, and things that I am and am not allowed to do in those locations. And other people who live there have it even worse. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things that I'm not going to apologize for talking about it, especially here on my channel. I think a very, very common complaint in the fiber arts and crafting industry is people are like, why can't we get back to knitting? Why can't we get back to sewing? Why can't we get back to X, Y, and Z? Well, that comes from a place of privilege. And if you can say that, that means that you have privilege, because a lot of folks, their identity is tied into their safety in various spaces. And I do believe that identity and hobbies go hand in hand. You can't really separate those two things, especially if you're a queer person or any minority. You have your identity that is constantly being judged by other people, and it determines whether or not you're safe in a space. And that's something that people have to think about. You know, these things are about identity. Fashion is about identity. Textile arts is about identity. And I think people forget that it's not just a fun hobby. It's something that's really, really important to remember. Okay, let's bring... Oh no, you're kind of junky. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. And if you're gonna hop into my comments saying, hey, can we just leave out all this stuff? You can leave. You're not welcome in my community. And I'm not gonna be mad about that or apologetic about that. You know, it is my job and my privilege to curate a space that is safe for me and for my other audience members who might identify as a marginalized individual. So the fun thing, as I'm working on this, up on my wall above my desk and computer, I do have a print. It's not an original, but a print of a beautiful French scientific illustration of butterflies that I'm just looking at and I'm getting inspiration from, as far as how I'm placing these and the layout that I'm doing. I think that needs to come down a little bit. I'm trying to keep this as symmetrical as possible, but I also know it's not going to be perfect. Well, that's okay. I'm not aiming for perfection, I am just aiming for aesthetically pleasing. And I think I am hitting that right on the head. I guess I could put that little guy here, since I only have one, and he fits perfectly! Look at that. I am loving this. I love that we go from conversations about gender identity and sexual identity and marginalization to, oh, this is so pretty. Because it's called duality, baby. I can have it all. Okay, so I think this is good enough for the back butterflies. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the front and try to work on making that also symmetrical, which is going to be difficult because I don't have, well, I guess I have some even numbers here, but I have a lot more monarchs than pretty much any other butterfly. So it might just be a monarch explosion on the front, or I might just leave some areas blank and do some hand embroidered butterflies and fauna on the front. So let's go ahead and flippy-dippy-doo. Sweet. And I'm gonna go ahead and button this up. I'm half tempted to replace the buttons on here because some of them are bent all to heck. They're just aluminum. I can feel how lightweight they are. I think I was able to fix one of them that was like really, really bent, but dang. But, you know, I also kind of like how they look. So, I don't know. I'm not going to be too picky. All right, so this is where I have to be really, really careful because I have these pockets and then I have an internal pocket. Although I think the internal pocket, oh shoot, it does. I'm going to grab some cardboard or some scraps and fill in the internal pockets and the external, these breast pockets. I never use these pockets up here, but I still want them functional just in case. But I do think I need to make sure that the interior pockets don't get sewn through. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. There will be a cut here. Great, so I have put in some wood chunks. I have a lot of wood scrap from my laser cutter, and I figure might as well use it for this purpose. So I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna place a couple of butterflies right here on the upper yoke. Granted, they may get covered up by the collar when it's open as such, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that happening up here. So what I can do is make sure that they're far enough away from the collar that not a bunch of it will get covered, just a little bit. So I think I'm gonna put some monarchs there. Uh-oh. You might not be able to hear those sirens, but I can. So let's put a couple of monarchs there. Let's put these ones here along this pocket and this pocket. And I'll just make sure that I open these when I pin them. And then as far as the rest go, it's gonna be a bunch of these smaller butterflies. Let's do that and that. And that and that. Nope, not quite symmetrical. There we go. And I think let's bring a couple more monarchs down here. And then those there. And then again, along the sides, we'll focus mostly on other flora and fauna, and along the button placket as well. I'll do some decorative embroidery on both the interior button placket and the exterior, because I wear this open way more often than I wear it buttoned up. The reason I have it buttoned up now is because I want to make sure that I'm getting this symmetrical. And the best way to do that is to lay it out in a way that I know everything is centered and lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and get these pinned, and then I'm going to go ahead and embroider a lot of these off camera, because I like to do it in my chair where I'm comfortable. And then I'll come back when I'm ready to do the next process, which will be mapping out some of the flora and other fauna. So yeah, I'll see you in the next clip, probably a couple of days from now. Alrighty, so phase one of the Pride jacket, Flora and Fauna jacket, is complete. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. So I've only got the butterflies on currently at the moment, and that's just because if I try to do all of this in one video, we're going to be here for a few hours just in one video. This video is going out way later than I expected. June got extremely busy for me. And I had another project I was working on that I had a deadline on. Well, it turns out that that got rejected, which is fine. But it was a lot of work that I put in during June that this didn't get. So yeah, so here are the butterflies that are on the front panel and the back panels. I did leave off the ones that were going on the pockets. Uh, it was just going to be too tight of a sewing area. So I may put something else on the pockets. I'll definitely do maybe the pocket flaps. That'll be fun. But at this point, the butterflies are done. So I'm going to move on to other flora and fauna. I think I'm going to make a few dragonflies, a few honeybees, maybe some bumblebees. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put some spiders and some spider webs along the collar. And then I think for the sleeves, I'm gonna do some ferns, some wildflowers, and then along the hem here, I'm gonna figure something else out as well. Maybe some leaf details. So I'm gonna do all of these other smaller embroideries um, off the jacket first, and then I'll applique them on just like I did here. Especially for the sleeves, it's hard to get in and out with those when it comes to doing hand embroidery. And in general, I think the applique will just look cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you here for this video. The next video hopefully will be sooner than a month and a week late, or almost a month and a half, I think, since my last one. Sorry. So if you enjoyed this process, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and a subscribe here. And if you enjoyed this conversation earlier about pride, about queer joy, please let me know in the comments down below. But, you know, here we are in July, and I'm nowhere near done with the pride jacket. Let's get a nice view of this. Look at the back of that. Ooh, oh, it looks so good. I probably won't add anything in between these butterflies, but I don't know. I might. We'll see. Anyways, see you in the next one.